Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in today. My name is Victoria Layden, and I'm going to be talking about my pre-med to traveling teacher pathway. Thank you, Brecklin, for inviting me to this interview. I am a DEM alumni. I graduated in the class of 2018 from the University of Rhode Island as an active DEM member with hopes and dreams of becoming a medical student. And I was so grateful that I found DEM because it allowed me to meet a lot of like-minded people who also wanted to help heal people, wanted to help be in the medical fields, health fields, and knew how dedicated we were to academics. So currently I am a traveling teacher at the moment. So the position I'm holding is I'm in education. I am a art, music, and library teacher at an elementary school here in Kingston, Rhode Island. I am also working part-time as the wellness department consultant at our local grocery store called Belmont. And there I help people find proper supplements, herbs, tinctures, teas, health foods, nutrition-based things. So I'm working in education and I'm working in a wellness department as well as teaching yoga at a local yoga studio right at the University of Rhode Island called the Rhode Island Yoga Center. I actually just moved back in November, so right now it's mid-February. So I've only been back for about 3 months in the United States, in Rhode Island in general. I've been a traveling teacher for the last 2.5 years, and so my life has been a bit constantly changing, I guess you could say. So I'm going to go into, what led me from pre-med student to now I'm in education in the health and wellness field as well as educating children. Because there are so many different pathways you can go with if you want to help people, if you want to help others heal, if you want to help yourself heal. There's so many other forms and pathways, and so I want to tell you guys a little bit about my story. So I had always planned to be in the health profession. I wanted to be a physical therapist in the pediatric wing, and while I was in high school, I was shadowing pediatric physical therapists, and I loved it, but they made it a doctorate program instead of just a master's program. So while I started moving towards university and college, I thought, well, maybe I will do family physician since I'm already going for the doctorate program as a physical therapist. Why don't I just go to be an actual doctor? Because I was getting more involved with nutrition, and I realized how the development of a child is reliant upon nutrients and reliant upon a lot of what the parents are offering. So if I really wanted to help children, I should also help the parents. So I got more involved with nutrition. I was taking nutrition courses at my university. I was also working at nutrition and food-based businesses like juice bars, vegan cafes, and things of that nature, farmers markets. So I was getting really involved with nutrition. And I also started finding medicinal herbs. So at the URI College of Pharmacy, we have a medicinal garden and we have medicinal functional classes. So I was working in the medicinal garden at URI. I was also taking medicinal plant courses and learning a little bit more about the organic chemistry and pharmaceutical pathways with medicinal plants. So I was really into medicinal plants as well as nutrition. And I also began a yoga practice, a very strong yoga practice. So I had yoga, I had nutrition, I had medicinal plants, and I also started shadowing a doctor. He's actually the founder of the integrative medicine program at Brown, and he specializes in homeopathy as well as regular medicine. So it was really interesting to work alongside him. He traveled the world as a poet before he went to medical school. So I got a lot of his tips, his insiders, his stories, and I had always wanted to travel, so his story was really inspiring to me. So when I graduated from the University of Rhode Island, I decided to travel the world as well. So I graduated from university. I worked at I was working selling cold pressed organic juice. I was working at the yoga studio, and I was working in the medicinal garden. And I said, I plan to go to medical school, which is going to take up, however many more years of my life. And I have this free time right now where I've graduated. So I'm going to get everything ready, apply to my favorite medical school, and I'm just going to travel. So I got most things ready for my application to my top medical school, and I took off. I started backpacking, bought a one-way ticket. I started backpacking through Europe, and while I was backpacking my first day, I was waiting at the airport, and I submitted my medical school application, and that was right after the summer, so that was September. I submitted my application to medical school, and I started backpacking, and I backpacked around Europe for 2 months, and then I did a yoga and meditation training in India. So I went from 2 months of backpacking in Europe, then I did 2 months in India. I did 1 month of training, 1 month of teaching in India, and then from there I moved to Indonesia and had a little holiday in Bali, just relaxing after intense training and teaching of yoga. Then I moved to Australia and I started teaching yoga, but I also started working with children. I was a nanny, so it's called an au pair, where I live with a family. They provide food, housing, and pocket money every week, and I help them with their children. So I was able to find a really nice home to live in and really settle into a new country, a new continent, a new culture, and begin to practice my yoga more, be able to teach other people yoga on the beach or etc. But I also got to learn a lot about family dynamics and raising children and child development. And I worked with about 8 different families. I lived with 3 different families, and I got to see, what it takes to raise children, what's going on with the children. And mind you, I had just spent 2 months of meditation in the Himalayan mountains, so my mind was absorbing everything like a sponge and viewing it differently than someone who has just been in Western culture their whole lives. I had just taken a step back from Western culture and really dug deep into meditation, calmness, stillness, observance, and I was able to really see certain dynamics that were really off balance in this Western modern world that we have, especially with nutrition, what we're feeding our children for food. And a few of the children that I dealt with, out of all of the families, one child usually had really bad eczema or skin issues, and I had a child with brain damage. He was born with a brain injury, and then he started developing epilepsy. He was on a lot of medications, but then I was seeing what his diet and lifestyle was like. And the diet and lifestyle of a lot of these children is they eat a lot of fast, quick, easy food because their parents are stressed out and they can't make nourishing meals for them. And they give them a lot of screen time, a lot of tablets, iPads, phones, etc., which is also harming their creativity, their joy, their love flow, their development. So I saw firsthand how people are raising children nowadays through nutrition, movement, lifestyle. And actually, while I was living in Sydney, I overheard a woman talking to her friend, and she said, "Oh yes, we've been taking my son to the doctor, and after this last incident, he told us not to go out to eat anymore. But here we are going to McDonald's." And I just remember that conversation so clearly in my mind, and looking at that child and being like, these parents really don't know how much our nutrition and our food is fueling our bodies. And I was very interested in the gut microbiome when I was back at the University of Rhode Island studying biology. And our gut microbiome is passed down to us from our mother. So we have, the last 2 or 3 generations of families passing down gut microbiomes that have been severely altered by the modern diet. We're no longer, or I'm trying to, hopefully you guys are too, trying to adapt to living a more whole foods diet, a more traditional, of your local region, of what's growing in this area, because the gut microbiome is severely impacted by what we're eating. And when we're not eating local organic foods, our body is like, whoa, where is this food coming from? This isn't my normal digesting route. This isn't what I actually need to thrive. So our bodies are being severely impacted by what we eat when it's not organic, it's not local, it's not whole foods. It's diminishing our gut microbiome, which then we pass down to our children's, and our gut is linked to our minds and creates our life. So I saw that firsthand as a nanny, taking care of children and their diets and their lifestyles. Luckily, I was able to hold on to yoga, and I wound up moving up north from Sydney, and I lived in a place called Byron Bay, which is really into the environment, sustainability, as well as human consciousness with yoga and meditation. So I worked as an organic farmer and a yoga teacher for a lot of months. And I'd say those are like my basis of life at the moment. It really stemmed from my traveling. Was I went from wanting to be a pre-med student to all of a sudden diving into yoga education, and I loved that. And then also helping people raise children and educating children, because I think children are at such a young, vulnerable age, and at the moment parents are so busy that they can't always provide this amazing vessel for their children to grow and develop. So I found educating children to be really important to me, educating on yoga as well as on food, on organic, local food on the earth. And I got really involved in sustainability movements in Byron Bay, Australia. It's really big. In the 60s and the 70s, they had a lot of protests against logging, so there's a lot of people who are very eco-friendly conscious and are moving towards really high-tech, innovative things for global warming with regenerative agriculture, new organic techniques to not only be better for our bodies without pesticides as being organic, but also better for the earth. So when we're farming the earth, we're not just taking from the earth, but we're also giving back to her. So those were like my 3 really big aha moments where, working with children, educating children, and then working with the earth and local organic food. And through that, I managed through yoga by really taking that time to meditate, to journal, to take that time for myself, and also help, since I had time to meditate in the Himalayan mountains for 2 months and learn these beautiful ancient techniques. Now I'm trying to share that with more people because we have such a busy, chaotic life outside of us, and it's really important to check back into yourself because you are your own healer. We have innate healing wisdom within ourselves, and we need to take a step back from the life outside of us and come back to who we are as a person and who we really want, what our heart's desires are,